Hi guys, welcome back to Gdf Diaries Season 2. I've got a very special guest here, Amar. And you know what, I'm going to get him to introduce himself. So can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, so my name's Amar. I'm originally from Birmingham, studied at Sheffield for uni, spent a couple of years in Leeds, a couple of years training in Manchester. Just recently moved to Bradford about 8 months ago.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
It's quite recent.
Yeah.
Do you like it here?
It's okay. I'm renting
It's
here.
okay, I guess it's alright.
Probably wouldn't live here long term, but yeah.
You being honest, I love that.
It is the job.
Okay, fair enough. Well, okay, let's just dive straight in. Can you share your experience, your story with us?
So yeah, my story. Childhood wasn't very good. Went through a lot of stuff. Um, I didn't realize at the time what it was to me. It was normal. Started suffering panic attacks when I was sort of, well, I call them panic attacks. I don't really know what they were.
But now you know it was.
Yeah, it was something like that. Where I'd be talking to you 1 minute, and then next minute I'm just shivering. So from my head to my shoulders, I'd be sweating. But if you touch me anywhere below my shoulders, I'd be like freezing cold. And then when I went to uni, sort of around 2012, I struggled really bad. Insomnia kicked in really bad, and I think the longest I went through was 7 days. 7 days, and I'm not just talking just at night not sleeping. I'm talking day and night, full 24 hours. I went through a whole week, no sleep whatsoever. Images started coming back into my head during this period. I remember about the abuse. It was familial, and I was just like, it can't be happening. Why am I having these images? Where's this coming from? I never spoke to anyone about it all through uni at all. What it led to happening was I would go to uni for lectures and seminars during the day, and then straight out work. I knew that at night libraries open overnight, so I'm not
you
going
just
to
kept
face
busy
anyone.
all the time.
Yeah, my sole coping mechanism was I don't want to speak to you, and there was no uni mates at all while at uni at all. I just cut off from pretty much everyone. And as long as I'm running like clockwork, 100 miles an hour, I'm good. I will get home and I will crash at some point. It was only until sort of the images got more frequent and frequent, and it was though somehow I have had a huge chunk of my life that memory was missing, gone, and it gradually was coming back for whatever reason. In 2015, I graduated and I went to my GP and broke down completely and told, that was the first person that I told that I'm having these images. I can picture it now like it happened yesterday. Every tiny detail, I know it happened. And in 2015, when I spoke to my GP, that was the first time. I remember walking out of there and it felt like a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. And to me, it was like, now I get to start my life again from scratch. Because when I left uni, I knew I was struggling. I didn't know what it was, but I knew that I needed to get away from home. And I knew that just because I spoke to my GP and just because I did blood tests, I knew that, that's not the answer. I know I'm not fixed or I'm not cured. But I didn't know what help I needed. I was working in Sheffield. I got a job in Leeds. I moved to then Leeds. I was still struggling. My go-to was eating crap. When I mean crap, sort of how I described earlier before we started, like back then breakfast would be like half a box of cornflakes with sugar in a bowl, and I'm talking a tub, not a bowl. And then there'd be probably a box of chocolate to go with it, and I'd eat until I feel sick. Lunch would probably be a replication of breakfast, so it'd probably be a takeaway, more chocolate. My go-to was junk food, and especially sugar food. 3 months, 4 months into moving to Leeds, I moved to a gym, and I spoke to a personal trainer, and just from having a chat with him, I was able to open up and tell him what I'm looking for, what I'm struggling with. I know now, having built a relationship with him, that he went through some health difficulties himself. He used gym and fitness as his way to get better away from just medication. And he helped me massively. So initially it was to build my confidence, got me to sign up for races within the local area, charity races, and that helped me boost my confidence. I was still struggling. I would still be like finishing work in city centre. I'd be walking home and I'd be crying all the way home, and it would be brutal. There was many times where random people have stopped me in the streets to ask me if I'm okay, and I'm like, yeah, everything is fine. I just need to be. And I would just be, yeah, I won't ever forget. There were many times where I'd just be walking home, walking the streets, even if I'm struggling in my flat. I would just walk out and I'd just be walking aimlessly, just crying, because it would be like, why am I remembering this? Why did this happen? I don't like looking at myself in the mirror. I feel disgusting. And I'm like, I can't tell anyone now. It's too late. Who's going to believe me? No one's going to do anything. And it's only going to make things worse if it comes out. Then, you know, what are my family members going to say? My uncles, my cousins, even though they'll say to me, you know, talk to me like nothing's changed. But in my mind, it's always going to be there when I'm sat in a room. How did they think? And all the rest of it. When I moved to, throughout that time, I was just still running away from everything. I knew I needed help, but I didn't know who to ask for help or where to look for help. In my head at the time, it was just right, okay, gym was good because I would be working full time as a security guard, and then it'd be gym, I'd come home, I'd sleep. And even when my insomnia kicked in, gym, I used to live at one end of the road, and 10-minute walk, gym used to be 24-hour gym.
So you lived at the gym pretty much?
I literally lived at the gym. There'd be times at 12 o'clock and you'd find me at the gym doing a full-on high-intensity training session at 12:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, because I can't sleep. And it'd be like, right, I'm either going to drive myself nutty and tossing around and turning, or I can go to the gym. I'll be so mentally and physically drained that by the time I get home, I'll just crash. And then got a job in Manchester, and even then, that was the first time I asked for professional help from the job that I was doing and training for in Manchester. And I had 3 to 4 sessions over there. But very quickly I realized that it's helped, but it's not the solution for me. Because it was like, right, I've got 4 sessions. And then after
and they've already told you this is it.
Yeah, and it was like, and I took some things away from it, which did help. And one of them being that I'm now an adult and I'm controlling my life. So I live on my own, because I use the analogy that, like, these are 4 walls and I feel safe in here. If you guys wanted to come in and see me or come and speak to me, you'd knock the door, and if I feel safe and secure, I'd let you in. Otherwise, I wouldn't. And this is my safe haven,
That's
which
a good
is why
analogy, yeah.
I feel safe living on my own. And that's one of the things that I took away from the therapist. My therapist in Manchester would say, you know, you do what makes you feel happy and at peace, and others, including family members, should respect your happiness, but they don't have to agree to it. And if they don't agree with it and they're not happy with it, you've got to ask yourself, do you want those people in your life? Do I want to continue trying to live my life appeasing others? When I know in my heart of hearts I've not done anything wrong, and it's taken me a long time to come to terms that I've not done anything wrong. I'm not saying that I'm perfect and everything is sorted. I'm still having days where I'm just sort of plateauing, and I'm, you know, up and down. It's a mixture of days. Like today, I feel good. Your work was good. There's no stress or pressures from the job today, but I still know that I'm not myself. Yeah. There's still stuff going on, and it's around stuff going on in my personal life where family members are saying that, this is not right, this is not okay, but I know I'm not doing nothing wrong. So it's like a little
battle, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little battle within myself. So that makes me happy, and it's giving me a peace like I've never had before, never experienced in my life before. Because all I've experienced is pain and hurt. And then on the other side, I've got family members saying that, no, this is not morally okay and it's not acceptable. And if you, for example, if you go ahead and take those decisions that you want to take, then as far as we're concerned, there's nothing to do with us. And I'm like, I've suffered all my life. What do I do? Where do I turn to? So, you know, and so that's what I mean in the sense that it's a continuing battle, and it's not a short journey. It's not going to stop overnight. I don't run away from my scars now. I embrace what they've done to me, and although I have my difficulties and my bad days and my bad weeks, in a crazy sort of way, I'm like, the stuff that I've been through, as horrific and as traumatic it was, and still is at times, I probably wouldn't be the person that I am today if it wasn't for those negative life experiences that I've been through. And for me, it's like, I think the biggest one for me was I tried getting help for years, and I kept getting backlash. I work full time, I go to the gym, I do about 15-20 kilometers cardio a day, 5 to 6 days a week. And if
You're making me feel lazy.
And if I can do that, they're like, you don't meet our threshold, there's nothing wrong with you, we can't help you. So I'm like, so what you, and in my head it would constantly be, so you want me to go back to 2012 when I moved to Sheffield, and I was actively having suicidal thoughts. I knew in my head that I want to go to Meadowhall train station, I want to jump off that bridge. You want me to reach that stage before...
For you to help me.
Yeah, before you're going to...
Accept me even, yeah.
Until Imran came along, and, you know, this help, it's massive. He knows how much difference has it been from literally a couple of weeks ago when we met for the first time, and how petrified I was at just meeting him in city centre and just having an initial conversation to a couple of months to how it is now. But that's the thing, like for me, it feels like yesterday. You realize how long it's been. I don't, and it's flown by, but I know I can feel the difference that it's been. And maybe for someone like me, yes, if support like this was readily available at the beginning, maybe I wouldn't have gone through a lot of the battles that I have done.
I'm a bit speechless, I'll be honest. First of all, thank you for being so open and sharing all of that with us, because even you just saying that you linking in with Imran has made such a, like, you know, big change in your life. I can tell, because I'm pretty sure if we probably asked you like last year or something, or would you want to come and speak, I'm pretty sure you would have said, no, I'm not sure.
Yeah, last year, I mean, I contemplated running away and just cutting off from everyone. In terms of family, and just ask work to move me to middle of nowhere, and I would have done that.
Yeah.
But I learned now from getting the help and support from Imran that I was just running away from everything, and running away isn't the answer. And not even the fact that it's not the answer, I shouldn't have to run away because I've not done anything wrong. And I'm more accepting of that, and I think it's helping me. Still early days, but I think it's just helping me to strengthen myself.
And I love when you said that, even though obviously everything that you've been through is very traumatic, you've been through pain and everything, you wouldn't be the person that you are today if it wasn't for that. And I feel like that's very powerful. Not that I wish anything bad upon anyone, but it's amazing that you're able to say that, because not everyone has that strength to say that. Do you get what I mean?
No, definitely.
So that's really amazing. What would you advise someone that's been through something similar, or is currently going through that, what you've gone through? What would you advise them?
It depends. And it depends because the country that we are in and the society and the way community is, the amount of help and support available to people that are from ethnic minorities compared to your British, white, English people is different.
I totally agree, by the way.
The thought process behind it, people don't understand, in the sense that how it impacts us culturally. From a culture perspective, whether you're Black, African, Asian, it's what are people going to say? It's that stigma, it's the shame that
it's within
that comes
our
from
community,
it's ingrained. And so when I've reached out to some agencies and they're like, fine, just cut them out. That's it. It doesn't work like that, because in our communities, it's, you know, we don't turn 16 and then we don't just move out. Parents don't say to us, right, you need to pay board. If you're not going to pay board, move out. In like the Pakistani community, everyone sticks together. And, you know, I battled with it for years. And what hit me was when I finally opened up and it finally came out of home, the immediate response was, people forgive people for murder. He's asking for forgiveness, so forgive and forget. If it comes out now, what are people going to say? But like, not for one day has anyone ever said, you know, how do you cope? How are you managing all of this? You know, it's happened to you. Nothing at all. And that's where I'm on that journey now, where I'm like, okay, fine, you know.
Accepting that they're not going to be.
Yeah, it's like, you know, I'm more coming to terms with it now, again, taking on the advice that I get from Imran, that, you know, certain people in my family, do they have the capacity to understand it all? And, you know, there's been days over the past sort of couple of weeks where I've been like, that's hard to come to terms with. That, you know, I would love that someone to just sit down and put on and just ask, how do I manage with it on a day-to-day basis? And I'm like, I'm now coming to the realization that I'm probably never going to get that at all. And it's those sort of things where, when we say, you know, people should reach out and ask for help or support, but the reality is, you can't. I always say this when I speak to you and my colleagues as well at office. I'm like, it might sound a bit discriminating the way it comes across, but a white person is not gonna understand from the cultural perspective how all of this impacts someone from a BAME community, ethnic minority group. Now, how can we bridge that gap? And I think education needs to come into it, you know. And there isn't much of that at all. Plus the stigma when it comes to men. Men are automatically stigmatized as we're alpha male. Men don't go through anything like this. It's the women that suffer. Men shouldn't be upset, men shouldn't cry. And I've had to learn the hard way that, you know what, yeah, crying helps. I will still cry, you know, now. Even yesterday, I was sat in my room and I was just listening to music and I was just crying. And then once the heart rate comes down and I settle down, I was okay. And it's no longer embarrassing. I embrace it. When I just let it out and then I feel okay, I can move on. And for me, it's a lot of education. And until we bridge that gap, we're going to have these issues in society. Men are not going to come forward and they're not going to speak up, you know. Because who's there to listen to us? Yeah.
It kind of got me a bit emotional, to be honest. My heart is like, and I totally agree with you.
Because, you know, it's like, I was speaking to Imran and you were saying, you know, you can do it without a camera or you can do it with. And I was just like, no, if I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it properly and all of it, because it's difficult to speak up and ask for help, especially in the BAME community, when you've suffered trauma of any kind. And I was like, if I'm going to speak up, then I want to do it properly, because I'm speaking up and I'm saying that, you know, we should speak up and strengthen and empower others. But then if I'm hiding behind the camera, I was like, no, I want to be strong, but I'm not at the same time. And it's like, I'm no longer ashamed. Before, I would be worried, you know, if you mentioned that there's going to be a camera, and it'd be like, people are probably going to see this, what people are going to say. And now I'm just like, I could not give two shades about what anyone's going to say. And if people want to know, fine.
I love that. I actually really love that. And I can tell that you're coming across very strong. And obviously, listening to your story, I know that you haven't always been like that. So seeing you now, it's like, wow. And I'm sure Imran is probably like looking at you like, I'm so proud of you.
How can someone just think that it's happened, just forgive and forget, and that's it, you need to move on? It's as easy as that. But I understand that mom or other family members probably won't understand. you can only truly understand, in my eyes, if you've been through something like that before. Otherwise, in my opinion, you're not gonna get it at all. And you know, it's difficult. That's why I'm still quite childish, and even at work, I'm just like, I'm sort of living my childhood now. And all my friends and everyone that knows me knows that I'm a little bit goofy, and if there's children, I will still be triggered. That when I used to work in retail, and sometimes dads would walk in with a little 2-3-year-old child, and I would just walk off into the back, and it would just be far too much. Going to the park, especially Christmas time, it's brutal. Everyone gets together, everything's quiet, and when I go into the park to do my morning runs and whatnot, everyone's out and it's just there, and yeah, it hits me brutally. You know, I do want to have children. I want to relive childhood all over again, and give my children the childhood that I guess I never had. So yeah, when I am crying, it is here. I think it's more because I feel like, you know, there's no compassion, there's no care. It's just, excuse my language, but shit's happened and you need to move on. Because what good is it bringing it all up now? You should have spoken up about it all them years ago. And I had those fears myself. That's what I never wanted.
That's exactly why you didn't say anything.
When family never knew, I wasn't the one that told my family. It was someone else. I still don't know exactly what actually my mum or others actually know.
So you yourself have actually never said anything to him?
I've never said anything at all in terms of the exact details, everything that's happened at all, because there's a part of me that says to me, if you know truly every detail of exactly what happened, how can someone like that just be like, yeah, forgive and forget and move on? It's not possible. But then it's just like, okay, maybe because it's the culture where the times when you grew up, you just don't acknowledge it at all. Or is it just in denial? Don't want to.
I think it might be a mixture of both. And someone else that we spoke to kind of mentioned a culture clash as well, which is a big thing that's probably within our parents and that generation. That makes it difficult for them to acknowledge and possibly accept certain things that have happened. But yeah, definitely. I was going to ask a question, but it's lost my brain now. I'm so sorry. It's gone.
That sense of shame, honour, that's persistent in all cultures, but does some of this sound familiar to Congolese experience?
Oh, 100%. And I feel like it's the whole stigma of like keeping it at home. I think you meant well, within the community, no one knowing. 100%. And also we've got this saying called Kango Matema, as in, it means kind of like, what does it mean again? Like hold your heart, like basically keep pushing whatever happens. So whether it's abuse, whether it's violence, whether it's any kind of anything, just basically you have to stay in that situation and persist through it and get over it, basically, like you said, like whatever happens. Like, do you get what I mean?
And that's what it is. It's just literally, and I just feel like it's happened, get over it, move on. It's just like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not
and
so
that's
easy.
why I feel where the culture clash is, because I feel like the older generation is kind of like, they've adhered to that and they're like, we'll do that. But we're like, no, why should we do that? Because that's not this. First of all, it's not right. Why should we have to suffer in silence at that? No. And I think, it's very similar. And what you mentioned as well is that I do feel that the white British, if you go to a service, they wouldn't understand what you're saying or what you're going through.
And they're not to blame for it. They've not been exposed to that culture. So for me, it's like, it's not having a go at them or having a go at society. It's about, we need to understand that there's a gap. Just like when,
and that needs to be filled.
For example, when we have ethnic minorities coming from other countries here, and we help educate them in terms of what is community and societal norms here, so they integrate into the local community here. I feel it's exactly the same, and until we don't do that, people are going to struggle, because some of the support and advice that they offer, it's not applicable to people that come from a BAME community. And then it's just like, fine, you make it worse, or people are suffer in silence, and it continues and it continues. How are you going to break that cycle? And for me, it's not knowledge is the key, but
In a way it is, yes, but I think, like you said, it's that filling that gap that's not there. And I think we spoke about it here as well, in terms of we might have to be that gap or build something, because I don't see how they're going to be able to do that if they haven't got any knowledge about, like you said, education, about our cultures. And there's so many different cultures in like in the whole of UK, so it's going to be hard, but it's something that we definitely should work on, because I feel like when you seek for help and you actually went out of your way to do that. Many people don't even do that, and you kind of got hit with, okay, you got some help, fair enough, thank you, but you still had that kind of thing missing that I think you found now. Cause
I think for me it was, so like obviously the job that I do, and I'm advising others that they need help and they need support, and I will do referrals and all the rest of it. And then I'd go home, and I just remembered when I was in Manchester, and it reached a point where I just look at myself in the mirror and be like, why am I being such a hypocrite to myself? Because I'm asking and telling others why you need help, and I'm enforcing them in a way that they must engage with the help and support to better themselves.
But are you doing that?
This person needs help that's right in front of him, and he's not doing it himself.
Right.
And it was, for me, that was a huge turning point for me to be like, no, I need to speak, I need to get help, because I can't continue like this.
Amazing. I remembered my question. It was about friends, because I remember you saying you didn't have no friends throughout uni. You didn't really want to speak to anyone. So what was kind of like your turning point that you started engaging with people again and made friends?
When I left my first job working for EE in Sheffield, I started another job in telecoms, and one of my work colleagues that was there was just so super supportive. I still touch base with him now. He went through his own difficulties and he helped me through it. The one thing that he said to me, and I remembered you, and I will never forget it, was, if I decide to enact on the thoughts that I'm having in terms of self-harm and suicide, who's going to help and protect my younger brother? What if anything happens to him? And at that time, that was the sole thing that just kept me going. Be like, no, I need to make sure nothing happens to him with everything that I'm going through. And it was him, and then moving to Leeds, having my personal trainer, and
you've created connections,
made connections, and it just became easier. Even now, I'm still quite close. I would say, when I say friends, I've got 3, maybe 4 people that I would say are friends, and I'm okay with that, because I feel safe. I still find it uncomfortable. I do want to make friends. I do want to, to broaden my circle, but I still find it uncomfortable, and because I still have those self-confidence issues, self-disgust. It's like I said to Imran, like you can tell when I'm having a bad week 9 to time with the way that I'm dressed up, because I look rough, I look tired, I wear tracksuit bottoms, because I don't like myself. I don't like looking at myself in the mirror. I feel disgusting. But gradually I'm getting better at that, and I will make an effort. And you can tell.
You look smart today, though. Like
and it's been a good day. It's been a good couple of days, and so you could tell the difference, But then, like when I go to work and stuff, and sometimes people will make compliments and be like positive compliments, and I won't like that. I find that weird. I find it. I don't find it normal at all. And then automatically I'll feel like tensing up and feel like, no, I need to go home. I need to get changed, because.
Do you feel like they're lying to you?
No, it's just that I feel ugly and I feel disgusted with everything that I've gone through. So as soon as someone says anything nice, it doesn't feel normal to me. People showing care, being respectful, being polite.
Oh, it's not your norm.
It's not normal. I find it weird. When I finished my training, I felt nothing, because it was just normal. I've just finished training. But the fact that all that pressure was off, and I've now got a career, I've now got a job, I'm earning enough money where I can get away from home and I can have my own space, and I'm one step closer to what I want to do in terms of being independent and feeling safe. I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel anything. It just felt normal. It's been done, and it felt weird. And it's even now, things are getting better in my life. I'm gradually becoming more happier, but it's still taking time to get used to that, and I'm still finding it difficult because I don't find it normal. People being nice, people showing love, people showing compassion, empathy, sympathy. I find it weird. It freaks me out. But gradually, I am getting accustomed to that. Not everyone's out to hurt me. This is normal. This is how life should
be. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just weird, and I know that I'm never gonna be 100% perfect because with what I've been through, but I embrace it now. And now the difference for me is, ever since being able to speak up about it and getting the help, I have good weeks, I have good months, I have the odd day where I feel a bit naff or just a complete breakdown. But I'm able to overcome it and get through it because I know what the past 6 weeks, 3 months were like. And it's just like, right, okay, what do I do? Right, I want to cry. Fine, I will have a good cry. I might be in my room and just biting onto a pillow so no one can hear me crying. And then I just let it out. I'll have a drink of water, stick my music on, and just go for a walk. And I'm okay. But that has only been possible from when I stopped trying to run away from it all and come to terms that it's happened, embrace it, and embrace the person I am today because of what's been through. And for me, I feel like I want to do something because of my experiences so that other people are able to speak out and get that help. And that's what today was about. Imran spoke to me about it, and I was just like, no, I do want to do it because if anything positive can come from it, I would want others to feel like, right, if he can do it and he's been through all of this, I can do it as well. And you're not on your own. And it is very lonesome. I live on my own here in Bradford, and many people ask me, how'd you do it? It is fucking horrendous, and it's awful, and it is painful, but things are getting easier. And all I'd say is that you've just got to learn to start crawling again and start walking again and then start jogging and running again. It isn't easy, and it's not a 1 week or a 2 week quick fix. It's a journey, and until you mentally get yourself ready that this is going to be a lifelong journey, because I'm not going to have Imran for the rest of my life, but I'm preparing myself and I'm building myself mentally and physically in terms of developing tools to cope and manage with it so that I can sort of have lifestyle changes to myself is what's going to help me further down the line. And it's like, you've got to accept that it's not going to happen overnight. And there's going to be many times during that process that you are going to break down. But I accept and I'm prepared for the fact that I am going to fall down, but then you get back up. You fall down, you get back up, and it's okay to fall down. It's okay for a bloke to cry. It's okay for a bloke to become sort of emotional. And I think that needs to be championed more in the community when it comes to men, because we block that out. And it shouldn't be the case. A man shouldn't feel embarrassed for wanting to cry, for being upset because someone hasn't done something nice to them, has hurt them, be it physically, mentally, what, in any shape or form. And until that changes, I feel these issues are going to continue to happen. And the only thing that happens when people say, what are people going to say, is it'll continue.
People are always going to talk, ultimately.
Exactly. And it's about, because for me, it's like, I have the mindset that if I have children in the future, if anyone's going to say anything, I don't care. I know what my children are doing. I'm happy what they're doing. They're my I couldn't care less what anyone else has got to say. That does not faze me one bit. But I'm like that because of my experiences and everything that I've gone through. Because I feel that backlash now. But the question for me is, how do we change that? The only way we can change it, and I sort of keep rephrasing the same thing again, is it comes from society.
Making that change.
Making that change. And until we don't make it normal to speak about it, and don't normalize men speaking up about their difficulties, it's not. I mean, it's not going to change. You've got so many social media platforms. TikTok has grown massively over the years from when it was first launched, and it's mad that the amount of men that I see on that platform crying, expressing, talking, and they need help and they don't know how to get help. They don't know who to reach out to, and that's their platform. Some of the comments that I read on there are absolutely horrendous, embarrassing. You know, and it's everything from just general, you know, no empathy at all, to cultural comments, things like that. And it's just like, this is why people don't speak up. This is why people are suffering, because they don't know who to turn to at all. How do they do that? Because what's uncle gonna say? What's cousin gonna say? You know, all of those things. I don't know. I think there's a long way to go, but I
feel like you've made a big step today, coming on here to speak, because like you said, even if it helps one person, that's literally what I'm about. Even if it helps one person, makes one person feel like, you know what, if he can do it, or if she can do it, or whoever, that's a big step in someone else's life. You might have just saved someone's life. Do you get what I mean?
Yes.
So
Platforms like these, and the more platforms that we have similar to this, I think will start to make bigger differences. Because for me, it's like, you know, I'll probably face backlash for doing stuff like this, and I'm like, you know what, in a crazy sort of way, I want that to happen because it's hit a nerve. The reason why it's hit a nerve is because it's true to people, and the only way people are going to start talking about it is when we start having this
conversation.
It's like, you know, a pressure cooker, you take the pin and it explodes. People are going to talk, and that's the only way we are going to gradually be able to have normal conversations about this, because this is a real life problem. This happens in our communities, and it's the sooner we get away from the mindset that what is he or she or Tom or Harry going to say, the better it's going to be for the future generation. Otherwise, it's going to continue.
No, you're right. You're totally right. Oh, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this conversation.
That's cool.
Oh, 1 second. Here's my little thank you gift. Not much, but I just want to say thank you, honestly. Like, I feel like you've touched on so many important points, from obviously your personal experiences to what should be done within a society, and mental health, like men expressing themselves, like everything. Like, you literally tied up a knot, made a present, and gave it to me. So thank you so much.
But no, thank you for this. This is
what I found.
not normal
Sorry.
at all. Now I find it awkward. Now you've got me awkward.
Oh, sorry.
No,
This is literally, I give everyone like a thank you.
No, it's cool.
Relax again.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe below. Till next time. Bye.